Okay, as I said, welcome to 17, The Little Way to Get a Lot Done. My name is Paul Lim. I'm the Managing Director at ActionCOACH Bolton, and we'll tell you a little bit more about me and a little bit more about ActionCOACH and our very special guest, Mr. Michael Heppell, in just 1 second. Let's get cracking. So today, we're going to talk about your focus. You're all here because you want to learn a little bit more about productivity, and it's about how you focus on your time. So we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about productivity. Michael and his latest book, 17, of which some of you have already got a copy of, but those who are on the webinar who haven't, you'll get the chance to get a signed copy of this book afterwards from Michael. Talks all about some great little tips to help you become more productive. There's going to be some great tools, and then Mr. Michael Heppell is going to be joining us in 25 minutes time at 11:30 to talk about some of the great tools that was in the book, and at the end we'll give you the opportunity to fill a form in. If you haven't already got a copy of the book from our last growth club, then you'll get an opportunity to fill your details in, put your address in, and we'll get one of these copies of these books out to you in the post, or well, if not today, then tomorrow, to make sure you get a hold of that. So I'm just going to lower all of your hands. I want to issue you a warning first of all though, and that warning is this. Attending webinars, workshops, training, coaching, all of this stuff doesn't work. If you start filling all these details on your pad and your pen, and then when you get back to your office and get on with the day-to-day stuff that you're doing in your business, and you do nothing else, then all of this stuff is a waste of your time. So it's not going to work unless you do something about it. So make sure you do take notes, make sure that you record your action points and set some goals. Set yourself some action points. If you need some accountability around those action points, then email me after this with those action points and tell me exactly what you're going to do. Because if you do nothing, then you'll just waste an hour of your time. And that sort of defeats the object of this workshop, doesn't it, everybody? So a little bit about me. This is me. I'm a dog dad. That's Honey Bear. I'm a private pilot. I love traveling. I love my friends. I can't wait to the point where we can get back to having get-togethers like that one. And I love the countryside around where I live. That photograph on the right-hand side is about 50 yards from my front door. So I'm very blessed and grateful every day for where I live. I've been coaching for over 30 years, more than that now. First of all, in a high-pressure sports environment, I was a skydiving instructor. This could be anybody, but it is me, the guy in the blue helmet with the light blue-grey jumpsuit and the dark blue rig. In the middle of that photograph is me. You'll have to take my word for it because it could be anybody. And that teaches you to coach people outside of their comfort zones when they're really in their extremely uncomfortable zones or performance zones. I've been involved in marketing and sales all of my business career for Fortune 500 and small family-owned companies. I went on to co-own and manage and run a business that went from 750,000 to 1.4 million with 12 employees as managing director and co-owner of that business. And then 2 years, well, 2.5, almost 3 years ago now, I founded Lancashire Business Growth Limited, which trades as ActionCOACH Bolton. Michael Heppell. Now, what a man Mr. Michael Heppell is. So rather than me tell you anything about Mr. Michael Heppell, let's have a look at this very short video that'll give you an idea of what Michael's all about. Now let's hope the technology works.
Push your groin out. 1, 2, 3. Oh. Well, it'll not be me, because I'm not even blinking.
Michael Heppell, can't help but smile every time you listen, speak, or see Mr. Michael Heppell. Can I just ask quickly, who's had the opportunity to see Michael before? I know some of you were on our last Growth Club. Let's just have a quick hands up so I know who knows Michael. So 1 or 2, 4, 5, 6. Oh, quite a lot of you. About half of you have seen Michael before. So I'm not surprised that you're here again this morning, because he's brilliant. In fact, one of his best-selling books is How to Be Brilliant. Right, let's move on to the next question then. This is why we're here today. How often do you hear yourself saying this? Or in fact, how often do you hear other business owners saying this? I'm too busy. I haven't got time right now. How often in the standard week does that happen to you? Just stick your hands up if you hear yourself saying, I haven't got time for this right now. Or when you try to speak to another business owner, they say that to you. Or you just feel like you're too busy all the time, like you're on the hamster wheel of business. There's a great trailer for a film, a cartoon film, a Pixar film, I think. And you've got this hamster running and running on this hamster wheel. And he's running and running and running. And he keeps saying this, look, I'm running and running and running. When I get off, I've gone nowhere. Does business ever feel like that to you? Or do you ever get to the stage where you just feel like this? Where you just need a little bit of help? Well, listen, we've got some great news for you. You know, if you go out onto the internet, you will find loads of these. The challenges and secrets to business success. All these top secrets that everybody's going to give you for millions of pounds of your money. Well, actually, there's no secret. Absolutely no secret. None of the stuff that we teach is rocket science. It's all out there in the marketplace. Here at Action Coach, we use a simple framework, a 6 steps framework to help our business owners become better. The first level of that framework is around business mastery, the business basics. And there's 4 areas around that I'd encourage you all to look at in more detail. Book a business strategy session with us if you haven't had one before, and we'll go through this in more detail. Give yourself a score out of 10 in each of the areas. So destination or direction, that's all about your planning. Start with the end in mind. Know where you're going. Time, that's what we're going to talk about in a minute. Delivery, how easy is it for people to find you, to buy from you, to give you money? How good are you at measuring customer experience and customer satisfaction? And how good are you with finance and your financial dashboards and the money in your business? But we're here this morning to talk about time. Time, that 168 hours in every week that all of us have got, that not everybody uses effectively. So what is it about some business owners which makes them really successful, and some business owners who are always on the hamster wheel of business, who are always too busy for that right now? Well, one of the answers is focus and clarity. If you look for any great business leader, you will see that they are absolutely focused on how they spend every single minute of their day. So one of my questions to you is, how are you spending that time? Let's have a look at some goals for you, first of all, and put your answers in the chat box. How many hours a week are you working right now? So this is for the business owners. I know there's 1 or 2 who are our employees maybe who are on the call. So this is for the business owners who are on the call right now. How many hours a week are you working at the moment? And then put a comma in. And then put, how many hours a week do you want to work in 12 months' time? So how many hours a week are you working at the moment? And how many hours would you like to work in 12 months' time? So put the first number, how many hours a week are you working at the moment? Then put a comma or a dash, and then put how many hours a week do you want to be working in 12 months' time? So we've got Catherine, who's on 35 to 40 at the moment, wants to reduce that to 30, so a 25% reduction. 60 to 37. Warren has got down to working 40 hours a week and he wants to be doing the same in 12 months' time. I am assuming, Warren, that you want that time to be more productive then if you're still working the same number of hours. Louise from 72-ish, oh, that ish is a big one, isn't it? 72-ish down to 45. And John, 50 plus. What's that plus, John? Is that 50 plus 1 or 50 plus 5, 50 plus 10? And you want to get down to 40. So there's some gaps there. So I would encourage you to write down on your pad. Hopefully you've got a pad and a pen in front of you. Okay, so maybe 60. So write down on your pad in front of you your goal. Write down your time goal for 12 months. And write down in 12 months' time, I want to be working no more than X number of hours per week. Really important. Write down, I don't want to be working any more than X number of hours per week. So the next question is, how do you go from where you are now to where you want to be? How do you get from where you are now to where you want to be? So listen, we're going to swap over to Menti now. So if you can go to your Menti screen. You should be seeing this on your Menti screen. And we're going to go on to the first question, which is, how are you spending your time? Now, you should have some scales on there from 0 to 100. So let's have a look at each of those areas and you tell me exactly on there, just slide the sliding scales to show us how much time you're spending in each of these areas. Sales and marketing, operations, finance. Those are the 3 key areas of your business. Sales and marketing, operations. The operations part is the doing. It's actually working in your business. And then the finance, how much time are you spending in each of these 3 key areas? How much time are you spending on learning out of your 100% of your time? How much time do you think is spent in non-productive areas? Can you just have a hands up that you can all see that on your menti.com screen on your phones or on your tablets? Great. Okay, so if you start sliding those numbers, hopefully, I'm going to do the same thing. And we should start getting some results in a minute. There we go. Marvelous. That's really interesting, isn't it? On average, oh, our non-productive time's going down. So when the first couple put their non-productive time in, they were spending quite a lot of non-productive time. That's really interesting, isn't it? Okay, so let's have a look at how one of the tools that we can use to help you with that. So sales and marketing, operations, finance are the 3 key areas of your business. And you need to be equally, what's the word I'm looking for? You need to be equally efficient at all of those 3 areas. Now, mostly some people are better at one area than the other, particularly around the operations side, because that's how most people go into business. They're working for somebody else, doing something for somebody else, and they decide that they want to go into business for themselves, or they're made redundant and start up their own business. And they carry on doing what they're really good at, which is the operations side of the business. So whatever business you're in tends to be the operations side of the business. It's not true for absolutely everybody, but for most people. So whether you're a web designer, whether you're a SEO specialist, whatever you happen to do, you carry on doing the stuff which you're really good at, the operations side, the working in the business. But as a business owner, you need to be equally adept at every single aspect of your business. And the three main areas are obviously marketing and sales, operations, and finance. You've got to know your key numbers in finance. So we often use what we call a time target to help people understand where they need to be focusing their time. Now, the time target comes about because after reading 7 Habits of Highly Effective People by Stephen Covey, it's a great book. If you haven't got that book and haven't read it, absolutely you should read that book. And he talks about the difference between what is urgent and what is important in your business. So the urgent things are the things which you have to do on a day-to-day basis to keep your business running, the working in the business stuff. The important stuff are the things that will help you to grow yourself and as a result grow your business. So working on the strategy side of the business, learning. Being here today on this webinar isn't urgent. If you weren't here, your business wouldn't stop working. But it is important. It's important to your own growth. It's important to help you get more focused around your use of time and around your learning generally. So the important stuff is the stuff which is going to help you drive your business forward. And there's some key areas around this that I want to talk you through. The first area around the outside is all of the stuff that you do which is neither urgent nor important. The little bits and pieces of stuff which don't really matter to the business, or the kind of stuff that you do when you're procrastinating. Anybody who's ever had a difficult phone call to make first thing in the morning, and then they go, I'll just check my emails first, or I'll just go and make a cup of coffee first. I'll just go and make a cup of coffee, grab a biscuit, and then I'll come back and I'll check my emails, and I'll just click on that link, and then I'll just click on another link, and an hour and a half later, you end up sat there looking at fluffy cats on YouTube. Anything to get out of making that important call. You know, Michael will tell you that he puts the pro into procrastination. He's an expert at it, and so am I. So how do you get over that? Well, you know, there's some great tools. Eat That Frog by Brian Tracy is another great book, based on the saying from Mark Twain, which is if you eat a live frog at the start of every day, then nothing is going to be more difficult than that during the day. So your frog is that task which you don't really want to do. Eat your frogs at the start of the day. Get the difficult stuff done first, the stuff you don't really want to do, and the rest of the day will feel like a breeze. Don't spend your time looking at fluffy cats on YouTube. So we call this area distraction. It's all the stuff that gets in the way of you doing what you really need to do. The next area is the stuff which is urgent but not important. So the stuff which is urgent to keep the business running, but not that important to the growth of the business. So it's the day-to-day grind, the kind of stuff that business owners get involved with. And in the main, just think, if I do more of this, then the business is going to grow. Do more, do more, do more, do more. But we've only got 168 hours in every week. And you can't continually just do more and more and more and more and more because you run out of time, you run out of energy. And ultimately, those business owners who do that eventually burn out and either just give up and go and get another job, or they have to give up because they get poorly. So my question to you is, how much time do you spend in the urgent and not important zone? We call this delusion. Because if you're spending too much time in this area and deluding yourself that the more time you spend doing, the more successful your business is going to be, then you are deluding yourself because you've only got so many hours in the week. The next area to look at is the stuff which is urgent and important. That stuff in your business which is going to help your business grow. It might be for sole traders and for smaller businesses with just a few employees, the business owner who gets involved with a major client. Yes, it's sales and marketing. Yes, it's working in your business, but it's a major client and the revenue and profit from that client is going to help you move your business forward. That kind of stuff is important. And these last two zones are where you really need to be spending your time. That's the demand area, the demand on your time constantly. So do the work which is urgent and important. But most importantly, make sure that you spend some time in this area. The stuff which isn't urgent, but is important. Focus and spend some more time in that area, doing the stuff which isn't urgent. It's not the day-to-day doing in your business. It's the stuff which is going to help you to grow and help you to grow your business. Some of you may have heard me say this before. Somebody said to me recently, Paul, your business will only grow to the level of your incompetency as a business owner. Think about that. In order for me to earn more, I've got to learn more. Every day I learn something more about my business. And that zone is the working on your business and on yourself zone. Does that make sense to everybody? Let's hope so. Let's have a hands up or a little comment in the chat box. Brilliant. Good stuff. Right. Finally, before Michael joins us, I'm going to tell you a quick story about leverage. Leverage is really important to every single business owner. And leverage is another one of the 6 steps that we talk to business owners about around systems normally, but you can also leverage your use of your time. So think about how you use your time at the moment. How often in your business do you find yourself doing things which are of low value to your business? Let me tell you a quick story before we move on to Michael. And the first part of that story is this. We were working with a business owner a few months ago now who had quite a large business. And one of his largest clients brought in round about £50,000 of gross profit to the business each year. We'd asked him about this client, and we asked him how long he'd had the client, and he'd had the client for about 2 years. And we asked him how long he expected to keep the client, and he expected to keep the client for around about another 3 years. So he would have had that client for 5 years in total. And out of that 5 years, he would have got round about £50,000 per year in gross profit, making a sum total of £250,000. We then asked him how much time he was devoting to that particular client. And he reckoned with the initial work that they did around quoting and tendering for that client and winning that client, he'd spent a few days on that initially. And then after that, each quarter they'd have a review meeting for an hour or 2 with them and the odd call in between. He reckoned he spent round about 50 hours with that client. So when you divide 250,000 by 50, that gives you a rate for him of £5,000 per hour for his time spent. So we simply asked him, do you want to be spending your time doing £5,000 an hour tasks? Or do you want to be spending your time as you are at the moment, or part of your time, doing the £10 and £15 an hour tasks in your business that perhaps somebody else could be doing? It looks like we've just been joined by Mr. Heppell. So let me ask you this question, guys, before we hand over to Michael. How are you spending your time? How are you leveraging your time? Are you spending your time doing the £10 and £15 an hour tasks? Or are you spending your time doing the £5,000 an hour tasks? Have a look at how you're spending your time. Have a look at what you're doing which is urgent, and have a look at what you're doing that's important in your business. And see if you can start changing those percentages a little bit so you're working on yourself and on your business. Okay. Good morning, Michael.
Good morning. Hang on. Oh, your host. You can't start your video because the host has stopped it.
Have I stopped your video? Hang on 1 second then.
That was a
I've
dramatic
made
start.
you the host, so you should now be able to run your screen and your videos.
Yay!
There you go. Here he is. Good morning.
Hello, Paul. How are you?
I am absolutely brilliant. How are you?
I'm also brilliant. First of all, congratulations on your nomination for the amazing service that you have been given over the last few months. It's brilliant. And vote Paul. That's all I'm saying.
Vote for me, everybody, if you haven't done already.
Absolutely. Vote for him because he's brilliant. And
Brilliant. I'm also surrounded by
copies
of your book, which we're going to give away to everybody at the end of this webinar. Some of them were on our growth club, so they've already met you, they've already seen you. They were really looking forward to seeing you again. So I'm going to hand over to you now, Michael. let's just, you've got control of the screen now.
Yeah, I'll do that. So
Share
if
your
I'm going to do
screen.
I will share my slides as well. Brilliant. Well, there we go. So hopefully you should be able to see a nice big number 17 at the moment, which is the plan. And also, can I say thanks very much for coming on this morning? Just that last little bit that I witnessed, where Paul's talking about where you put your time and what you focus your time on, just immediately got me, because I learned that ages ago and I've stopped blinking doing it. I've been getting distracted recently. So easy to get distracted with stuff, isn't it? It sneaks up on you, and before you know where you are, you've got that thing where it's like, I needed that reminder. And that's why it's brilliant that that you do this stuff, Paul, because my goodness, even if you know it, the secret isn't in the knowing, the secret's in the doing. So I'm thank you for that. You've already you've given me something else this morning. As soon as I'm finished, I'm back on my 5 most important things, not the most urgent or distracting or shiny. Anyway, look, I said that I was going to do a very, very quick presentation about 17. And I want to share some of the stuff that's in the book, but also some of the things that aren't in the book as well. And this whole process started because of this gentleman here. It's called Sir Harold Evans, and it was October 1995 when I first met him, and it was in New York. And at that time, Harry Evans was head of the Random House, one of the biggest publishers in the world. He founded something called Condé Nast Traveler, which I think you might have heard of. He'd been the editor of the Sunday Times and the Times. He ran the campaign to help the sufferers from thalidomide. He also ran a campaign to help to get equal rights for women. He's done amazing, amazing stuff. And I was going to meet him because I was a fundraiser for a charity called the County Durham Community Foundation. And it was the day of the O.J. Simpson verdict. And I'm sure there's plenty of people who are on this session who remember how extraordinary that was. And I was in New York on Times Square, and the announcement came in, and I remember the whole of Times Square stopped. And then there was this situation where you've got, all people getting out of their cars, they're looking up for this verdict, and he was found not guilty. And my meeting with Harold Evans was 30 minutes later. And it was just up the road from Times Square. And I walked up and I went into his waiting area, and his PA was there. And she said, Mr. Heppell, if you wouldn't mind just taking a moment, Sir Harold will let you know when he's available. Or Harry, as everyone called him. Harry will let you know when he's available. And I was like, yeah, that's fine. That's great. No problem at all. And suddenly this light flashed 3 times on her desk. And I went, oh, this must be it. So I walked past up to the desk, and she said, Mr. Heppell, if you'd like to go in now. I said, yeah, thanks very much. And as I start to walk past her, she said, you've got 17 minutes. Now, that's never happened to me before and never happened since. I've been told you've got a minute, you've got half an hour, you've got 10 minutes, but never 17 minutes. And the bit that I write about in the book is that when I was flying home that night, I wrote in my journal, imagine valuing your time so much that you break it down as short as 17 minutes. But the really interesting thing, which isn't in the book, is that when I went in to see him, he was on the phone to somebody. And it was a really interesting to hear his end of the conversation, because it went like this. Yes, listen, you're busy. I'm busy. I know we're all busy. This is a simple question. Do we have a deal? This is a yes or no. Make your mind up right now. Good, excellent. That's fantastic. Okay, look, we'll get this sorted out this afternoon. We'll get some heads of terms done. Great to have you on board. Goodbye. Put the phone down. Turned around to me, and I'd been practicing my opening line. And my opening line was going to be, we're about to have the only conversation in New York that isn't about the O.J. Simpson verdict. And that's how I started. So I said, hello, great to meet you. I'm Michael Heppell. We're about to have the only conversation in New York that isn't about the O.J. Simpson verdict. And he looked over at his desk and he said, do you know who that was? I said, no. He said, that was Marsha Clark, the chief prosecutor, doing the book deal 30 minutes after the verdict. And he said, only in America, Michael, only in America. And then we went on to have a 17-minute meeting, which did last for exactly 17 minutes. And then the light flashed 3 times in his office, and off we went. And I write about that in the start of the book, about meeting with Harold Evans and what an amazing person he was. And the real sadness is that Harold Evans died just about 6 weeks ago. And I made a massive error. I didn't send him the book in time. It didn't get to him before he died, which was stupid of me because I had some advanced copies before the publication date on the 17th. I could have sent one across FedEx and got it to him in time, and he would have seen it. And instead, I had to send it to his widow and say what an inspirational person he was and what a fantastic part of my life. So there's a lesson. No regrets. No regrets. Now, 17 is about three things. First of all, learning. We have to learn. We have to continuously be making sure that we are learning and that we are increasing the activity with this muscle here. But learning means nothing without action. I was watching a webinar the other day, and it was with the guy who was the head of the Napoleon Hill Foundation, who was personal friends with Napoleon Hill. And they talked about the book, the famous book, Think and Grow Rich, and about the fact that Think and Grow Rich has a message on every page. And this is the secret of Think and Grow Rich. This is the secret of it. And I remember thinking all the time when I was reading that book, what is it? What is it? What is it? And the guy who was the head of Napoleon Hill Foundation said, this is the secret. It's action. It's all down to action. It's what you do. It's not what you know. There's no law of attraction without action. And I was like, yes, absolutely. And then the final piece is accountability. And when we bring those three things together, our learning, our action, and our accountability, that's where 17 lands. Now, I've got people are raising hands. Do people do this? Is this a thing that people do? Does this, hang on, Paul, you're muted. Press your space bar. Hang on. Does that mean people have got questions? Press your space bar.
Yeah, well, you're in control at the moment, Michael. If you want to lower everybody's hands, everybody, if you've got questions for Michael or as we're going along, if you'd like to put those into the chat box,
yes, please,
Q&A box, that'd be absolutely great, and then we can answer those at the end.
We'll do them at the end, absolutely, and we'll bring you on. We'll have a chat. I'll stay around for as long as you've got time, and as long as you've got time, Paul. Brilliant. So that's the essence. Now, how do we make this work as a concept? How do we make it work in our lives? So I mentioned that this idea of 17 minutes really, really had an impact on me. And all of my life, I've been doing something called 17-minute sprints. And when I work with people and I coach people, I frequently talk about this concept of a 17-minute sprint and what that looks like and what that feels like. And it's amazing what you can get done in 17 minutes. It's incredible. A focused time. Now, the secret with a 17-minute sprint is you have to start off with the right intent. So you're talking there about what you've got to focus on, that central circle, working on yourself, working on the key things, working on your £5,000 idea. That's what you would do with a 17-minute sprint. And I use this. Hey, Siri, 17-minute countdown. And sure enough, there it goes.
Okay, 17 minutes and counting.
And there's my 17-minute countdown started. And I'll work on something that I've been putting off, something that I've been thinking, I'll maybe do a bit of that tomorrow. And it's incredible what you can get done. So first thing I want to suggest that you do is learn this idea of 17-minute sprints and reward yourself at the end of each of the 17-minute sprints.
So my iPad's just started a 17-minute sprint as well now, Michael. Thanks for that.
Yeah, everybody's stuff will be starting to do. So, sorry about that. Yeah, do you want me to do your Alexas as well? Because you can ask Alexa for one. Oh, there you are. She's starting. So look, the 17-minute sprints. Don't have a cup of tea until you've done your 17-minute sprint. Yeah, that's the idea. So you would say, rather than going, I'll have a cup of tea, then I'll do a 17-minute sprint. 17 minutes, then a cup of tea. 17 minutes, then have a little play around on Facebook. 17 minutes, then do these things. And that's the trick. So create 17-minute sprints. And I've found that I get so much done in those 17 minutes that it gives me a little bit of time to do this as well, which is 17-minute thinks. And this is what we don't schedule into our lives. We don't schedule in 17 minutes of thinking time. to sit down with a pen and paper or colored pens and to properly think something through. And when you do that for 17 minutes, when you say, can I have the 17-minute countdown? And you start to think about something and you tell yourself, I will not leave this problem until the end of 17 minutes. Even if you think of the right answer in 2 minutes, you still have to stick with it. And you know what comes? The second right answer. And then the third right answer and the fourth right answer. And then the fourth right answer links with the first right answer. And then suddenly you've got something. And we don't do that. Our lives are full of stuff coming in. And we don't stop to consider what's going on in there. So that's a 17-minute think. And then finally, a 17-minute pause. Now, this is something, again, that I would suggest you see if you can schedule into your life. We all know, don't we, that we should slow down. We should have a little bit of time of maybe some meditation. We should, relax more, but we don't schedule it in and we don't do it. And if you can have a pause, and I think meditation's brilliant, but it's hard. It's really hard. And I'm a positive person. And I don't want to say something's hard unless it really is. But my brain is just firing off all over the place all the time. I met a guy called Lama Tulsig Lobsang. And he's a proper Lama. Did you know there's 32 Lamas in the world? The Dalai Lama, top Lama, we all know him. But then there's another 30 odd underneath him. And he's one of those Lamas. And I was very fortunate that I was able to have, we did a big group session the day before. And then the next day, a group of about 8 or 9 of us got together in a library and we could ask him questions. And I was very fortunate, myself and Christine, we were able to go and ask him these questions. And what was brilliant was he said, okay, I've got as much time as you need. Ask the question that's deep in your heart. Well, honestly, people are asking all sorts of really spiritual stuff. And I just went, why is meditation really hard? And he was like, because you're not doing it properly. I was like, he said, you're trying to meditate like a llama and you're not a llama. I've spent my whole life practicing. In your world, this is what you need to do. And this was the instruction. And this changed my life. First of all, just sit. Step 1, just sit. That's all you got to do. Step 2, close your eyes, breathe. Just breathe properly. Make sure the out breath is longer than the in breath. There's loads of complicated things, 3, 4, 5s and all that type of stuff. The main thing is make sure your out breath is longer than the in breath. And then this was the thing. Anything that happens, just let it happen. Now, all the advice I'd had before about meditation were things like imagine a candle. Have you ever had that one? Imagine a candle. Imagine a candle. And you think, oh, right, okay, I'm imagining my candle. And then, and what I do is I go, I wonder where that candle was made. It looks like one of those tea lights from IKEA. They buy them bags of 100. They must sell millions of those. I wonder when they're made. Probably China. Can you imagine what the factory looks like? Good grief. Imagine if that went up, it would burn for days. And my brain's doing all of that. And I would try and stop it. Oh, I'm not thinking about the candle. His advice was just let it happen. Just let it happen. So what I do now is I just have 17 minutes, do my little countdown, close my eyes, breathe, and I let anything that wants to happen up there happen. But because I'm not fighting against it, it slows down. And after a few weeks of doing this, I did have a moment. Don't know how long it was. It could have been a minute. It could have been 5 minutes. It could have been 10 seconds. I don't know. But I remember that moment of having completely clear mind. I was, enlightened. I was enlightened as a lad from Newcastle can be. But I did have that moment. It was like, whoa, this is great. And then as soon as I thought about it, then I was out of it, of course. And so that pause, that idea of a 17-minute pause, I would go for it. See if you can find 17 minutes to do that. Now, this is some bad advice. If you want to be the very, very best at something, you need to be in the top 1%. The people in the top 1%, they're the ones who are going to make all the money. They're going to be the most successful. Be in the top 1%. No, don't do that. Unless, of course, you do want to be an Olympian or something like that. Because here's the challenge with being in the top 1%. If you want to be in the top 1% of something, everything else has to go out of your life. Everything. Now, I'm into having a wheel of life. I did my wheel of life on November the 1st. I always do it on November the 1st. I also now do it on the 17th of each month as well. So I think life's going so fast, I want to check in a couple of times. And I measure 8 areas. And I'm always thinking, I don't necessarily need to have 10s. I just need to have a balance. So what I would advise is rather than trying to be in the top 1% of something, be in the top 17% of 3 things. Now let's link this to business. So, Paul, the people who are on here today, my guess is that they are all either running their own companies or senior in organizations. And right now, they are working very, very hard at doing that.
Yeah.
And I think that what happens is we sometimes beat ourselves up because, such and such is a bit better at this. They're a bit better at that. They have more marketing spend at this. Well, they managed to do that. Oh, they got their post on LinkedIn and it got 10,000 people looking at it. And I didn't mind. It got 3, and one of those was me mum, who always likes my stuff on LinkedIn. And it's that kind of thing. And we beat ourselves up about it. Well, just think about 3 things, 3 complementary things that you can do to be in the top 17% and put those together. So if you were involved with providing a service, right, you're a service-based provider, to be in the top 17% of customer service, what does that look like? Top 17%, that's all I've got to be. I don't have to be Amazon. I don't have to have an omni-channel setup that costs $200 million to provide service. I just have to be in the top 17%. Next, in terms of the service I'm going to provide, what am I going to provide? So if you're in recruitment, you just have to say, what does the top 17% do in terms of follow-up and reach and briefing and contacts and all that type of stuff, just in the top 17%. And then your final one might be, okay, so I'm going to be marketing now. I'm going to be marketing what I do. Right? Again, you don't have to be a John Lewis Christmas advert. You just have to be consistent and clear with your messaging and remembering to ask for a call to action every time. And what happens is when you put those 3 things together, suddenly you do become top 1% at what you do. Because it's a combination of those things. And here's the really good news. You don't need any natural talent to be in the top 17%. To be in the top 1%, you have to have some natural talent in there. Look at athletes. They've got to be the top 1%, they've got to have a certain build. They've got to be able to do certain things. But with this, everybody can be in the top 17% with hard work. That's what it needs. Just hard work. So my question to you is, what do you want to be in the top 17%? What's it going to be? Have a little think about that and think about 3 areas where they can come together. Now, once you've got this, now we're on a journey now with 17. So we understand we can use 17-minute sprints to get ahead. We're going to have 17 minutes thinking time, 17 minutes where we're going to slow down and relax. We're not going to be in the top 1%. We're going to be in the top 17% with 3 things. When they come together, it's even better than the top 1%. Let's have a look now how we can magnify everything. And we can magnify it with communication. The great communicators aren't necessarily the best at what they do. They're just brilliant at communicating it. Just think about that. You and I have both seen people who maybe your competitors or maybe just somebody who you've seen or whatever, and they're not as good as you and what you do, but they're pretty good at communicating it. They do live broadcasts. They record videos. They write lovely emails. When they have a meeting, they just seem to mesmerize the people who are in the room with them because they're brilliant at communication. So communication is the magnifier. And I would advise you, when you get your copy of 17, and there's a whole section in there about communication and how to present yourself and how to present your ideas. And I would dive into that and I would test all of the stuff that's in there. I've seen people go from, having a reasonable job in an organization, working hard, doing all the stuff, being pretty talented at what they do, top 17% in a couple of areas, struggling to get to the next level. People with businesses that are good, they've got the pretty good. They've got a decent turnover. They've got some decent. They find it difficult to go up to the next level. And one of the things, certainly by all means, not all the things, but one of the things that can make a massive difference is communication. So communication is the magnifier. Then team is the accelerator. The right people around you will help you to be better, faster. You will be better, faster, guaranteed with the right team. Now, some of you might be thinking, but Michael, we can't afford to employ anybody. You're not going to employ anybody with Team 17. But what you're going to do is you're going to consider who you need to have around you that can help you to get to where you need to get to. Now, the person who's sharing this webinar with me right now, Paul, is a brilliant person to have on Team 17. Perfect. Because there's all this knowledge, there's somebody who cares, there's somebody who deeply wants to help you. There's your first member of Team 17 right now. And one of the things that I do with 17 is there's a bonus chapter. So when you get it, register for the bonus chapter. And in there, you'll see a whole section about how to create 17 people to support you. Team 17, 17 people. And the way that we do is we think about archetypes. What type of individuals might you need? Now, archetypes can be all sorts of different people. So your archetype might be your financial advisor, your accountant, that type of person. Another archetype might be the person who you can bounce creative ideas with, and they'll think of something that's going to help you with that, to market something or branding or all that type of stuff. There's loads of different ways that you can create, this list of people. So we give you suggestions, but what's important is that you don't prejudge. Do not prejudge by thinking, oh, they want to be part of my Team 17. As soon as you start to prejudge, at that point there, forget it. So first of all, you check your list. What type of people do I need? Who do I need to have around me? Then you start and add names next to them. Don't prejudge whether they're going to help or not. Next stage after that is you think, okay, where are we up to with this relationship? So what do I want them to do? Who do I want to be there? Next question, are they ready? Are they ready to help me? If they're ready right now, and you could call them up and use the magic words, I need your help, and they will be there to help you right now, great, go for it. Other people, you might need to develop them a little bit. We call this a farm list. So people who you want to help you, but you need to put a few more deposits into their emotional bank account before you take a withdrawal. And that's okay because, farmers, you've seen the whole thing about how people do crop rotation and all that type of thing. You don't have to wait for a year or for 6 months. You can develop a relationship with somebody in hours or days. And those people will be ready to help you as long as you've helped them first. And the final part about being ready is some people, they are already completely overdrawn. You have to let that field go fallow for a little while. Don't worry about them. They're not going to help you, but it's fine. It's okay. You've worked it out. Maybe ask them anyway, have a punt. They might know somebody else who might be able to help you. So work out what you want people to do. What are the roles going to be? 17 people. Who are going to fit those roles? And then ask the question, are they ready? And if so, ask them for help. Now, a couple of the things that you can do using 17. Maps are massive action projects. Massive action equals massive results every single time. And by using 17 to help you to do a massive action project, you'll be amazed at what you can achieve. Absolutely amazed at what you can achieve. 17-minute sprints, 17 weeks for a massive action project. I'll give you one example. We worked with a housing association who had a void time. So this is the time when a property is empty before a new family would move in or a new person would move in, of 41 days. So that was 41 days of no income, 41 days when the house wasn't being used. And the reason for that was people would move out and then they would have to get the assessors to go in, and then they would have to get the contractors, then they would have to do that, then it would have to be signed off, then it would have to go through this admin, then it would have to do that. It was crazy. So they created a massive action project. And the massive action project was to reduce our void time. And they wanted to get it to under 20 days. And that was massive, to half it. They got it down to 12 days and eventually 9 days. the difference to the organization turned out to be tens and tens and hundreds of thousands in the end. But most importantly, we're getting people into homes faster. So when you do a massive action project, you've got to be very, very clear on what's the outcome. What are you going to do? What are you going to achieve from it? Secondly, use all of the tools that you've got from 17-minute sprints, the team 17, great communication, all of those things. Then after that, check in where you're up to twice a month. Day one, first day of the month, everybody does stuff for the first day of the month. Either we end the month with how our months have done, or we start the month thinking about what we want to achieve, what we want to do this month. Oh, that's my 70-minute timer. Thank you. Day 17 is a little bit different. This is the midpoint. It's time you can adjust your sails of the ship, that is, or adjust your trajectory. But you have to be really honest with yourself on day 17. This is a great day to meet with your coach. It's a great day to meet with your team 17. It's a great day to schedule some time to make sure you're going to be working on the right things. And then finally, make sure you've got the right community of people around you. You don't want to be spending time with the naysayers, especially during the next 4 weeks. The next 4 weeks are going to be pretty challenging for lots and lots of us. I've no doubt at all. And the last time that this happened, I made sure that I only spent time in communities that were going to be a beacon of positivity, an absolute beacon of positivity. And so that community is so important. Who you spend your time with, where your focus goes. We've heard it before, probably 100 times. You become like the people who you spend most of your time with. Spend most of your time with people who are on this webinar. That's the difference. Thank you. So we're going to open up for questions, and then with Paul's permission, I'm going to tell you a little bit about Team 17, and I'm going to give you a fantastic free gift because I know people like free. Okay. So how do we do the questions, Paul? What should we do?
Let's just get people. You can put questions into the chat box. So you all have used the chat box already. So let's have some questions coming into the chat box. Remember, we talked about 100% participation. So let's get you all participating. Either put a question in or put a BFO in, a blinding flash of the obvious. What's something that's coming to your mind while Michael's been talking that you're going to do? What are your action points? What are you going to do differently? So let's have some questions coming in from you now. Everybody, let's
nobody wants to ask the first question, so let's start with the second one.
Absolutely. Who's going to ask the second question?
Are they still there?
Yeah.
Why orange? Great question.
I might have known that would be from Phil. Why orange?
That's a great question. Thank you, Phil. Do you know what? I was looking for something that I could brand that would really. I will stop sharing the screen now. Hang on, let me do that. Right, where it would really jump out. And this book, the reason I wrote 17 was because I was running a book writing group, and I wasn't writing a book myself, and I felt really bad about it. It was like, do as I say, but I'm not doing it. So I thought, I need to get my finger out. I need to do something. So I decided I was going to write the book, and I thought I need some branding for this whole 17 thing. And I just was playing around with color combinations, and there's a website called Beyond the Slide, and in there you can put in color combinations for when you're doing PowerPoint, and it'll give you a score out of 100 for how good your combination is. And this dark blue and the orange got something like a 96 or something like that, which, other than black and white, white on black is the ultimate. It was really, really high, and I thought, oh, I like that. So I thought, I'm going to own orange, take it from EasyJet, take it from Vanarama, and own it myself. Here's John. No question yet, but really like the whole concept of 17. I especially like building my team of 17. John, that is so key. And I think what you have to do with that is you've got to put yourself out there a little bit. Put it out there and kind of say to people, this is what I'm doing. This is what I need your help with. John, what do you do? Just put into the
Let me tell you what John does. John runs a charity called Speed of Sight.
Right. Yeah, well, I've communicated with John before. I have. Yeah,
and they provide driving experiences for people with disabilities. Actually, you might be able to help him outside of this call, just very quickly. They're doing a lot of work up in Teesside. They're organising track days up in Teesside, and they want to find ways of encouraging more people up in the northeast to participate on the track days. So people with visual impairments and disabilities.
Okay,
To
John,
get the message out in the northeast somehow.
Join my How to Be Brilliant group on Facebook. Loads of people there are part of the Northeast community. And there's some people who are very, very involved with community stuff, things that are going on. And the other thing I would do is I would get in touch with the community foundation, which is what's it called? It's it's not called Teesside Community Foundation, but it's basically put in Teesside Community Foundation and you'll find them and talk to them about what you're doing, because they will be very, very interested. That was why I was in New York meeting Harold Evans, because I was the founding director of the County Durham Community Foundation, and we were getting them to be involved and helping us. So yes, love it, says John. BFO 70-minute sprint, love it. And the 17-minute thinks, yes, and 70-minute pause. Really do like this idea. Going to start this today. Louise, you will love it. Absolutely, you will love it. Hi, Michael. Would you always follow a 70-minute sprint with a 70-minute think? No. When I'm writing, I do 17-minute, then a treat. 17 minutes, then a treat. 70 minutes, then a treat. That's how I do it. So I don't always have to do the think. That's a good question, Sean. Thank you. There's Phil. 70 minutes donut eating. I can replace the sprint. 70 minutes on the donuts. Phil, what would you be like by the end of lockdown if it was 70 minutes eating donuts?
Phil came along and did a case study video with us yesterday, and unfortunately, when he tried his suit on, he couldn't fit into his suit. So I think the 17-minute donut eating needs to go out the window, Phil.
Yeah. Brilliant. So look, let's have a look. Somebody's got to go to a client meeting, David. Let me just share this with you. We have a thing called Team 17. I'm going to just do this. You can read about it. You've got michaelheppell.com/team17. And it's a community, and it's a paid for product. But because you are part of this group, you can go into it for free for a month, right? And just have a look at it. Even if you went in for free and just download it and nicked all the stuff, I don't care, right? Because if you're Paul's friend, then you're a friend of mine, yeah? So you go to Team 17, and then it'll ask you to join. And then if you join monthly, but when it says coupon code, put in T17, and there'll be no charge for your first month. And join it and test it out and see what the people are like in that community. It's maximum 100 people. We've got 80 members now. If you want to come along, it's fine. I'm not pitching it. I'm just saying it's there if you would like to have a little look at it and you like the idea of accountability groups and that type of thing. And we do something on there called 17 Minutes With, where we do interviews with people, and we have to get the whole interview done in 17 minutes. And the people who we've managed to get for it are absolutely amazing. The first one's with Davina McCall. We've got Kelly Hoppen, the designer. We've got Irene Dorner, who was the most powerful woman in banking in the world. She's just done one for us. We've got Michael Douglas. We've got, just loads and loads of great, great people who will come out, and they're talking about 17 minutes and what it means to them and what they were like when they were 17. And they open up so much. 2 weeks' time, Sarah Cox, the DJ, she's doing a one for us, from Bolton.
Good.
Sarah Cox from Bolton.
There you go.
Yeah.
All the best people, Michael.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're doing that, and there's loads of good fun stuff. But anyway, have a little look at that if you want to.
Brilliant. And I would encourage anybody who's on this call today to join. Go onto Facebook, look up Michael's How to Be Brilliant Facebook group, and join that. Absolutely, because it's a beacon of positivity.
It certainly is. Yeah, I'll just put the link in for that.
And have a look at Team 17. I've been obviously I've been involved with Michael for a while now. I was part of his Write That Book masterclass, and I've been involved with Team 17. Clearly, I've been involved with Team 17.
Yay!
And do as much as you can with Michael, because he is brilliant.
Thank you. Paul, I really appreciate this today. And do you know one of the things? Let me tell you about what Paul does. There's a lot of people who say, "Oh yeah, let me know when your book's coming out, and I'll buy some copies." Oh, let me know, and you do that, and then you never hear from them. Paul was completely proactive, and he bought, was it 70 copies?
Yeah.
bought 70 copies and said, Mike, I'm going to use this as a tool. I'm going to give these out to people. I know it's going to be. That was before I'd finished writing the book. He'd already made the commitment and already bought 70 copies. And that is what a leader does. So we don't want to end up just being like a mutual admiration society, Paul and I, but he's brilliant. He is brilliant. Listen to what he does. Follow his advice, because
thank you, Michael. It's very kind of you. If you could do me one last favor and make me the host again, that would be absolutely superb.
I can absolutely do that. 2 seconds. Hang on. Where's my button? There we go. Make. Come on. There we go. Make host. There you are. You are in control.
Marvelous. Thank you very much. Let me start that slide and find out where we're up to. Share my screen again. Here we go.
Great. And I'm with our dash now, but thanks so much. Stay in touch. Be brilliant. And remember, 17-minute sprints. Go!
Michael, thank you so much. Look forward to speaking to you soon. Take care.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Okay, everybody, hope you enjoyed that. If you've got any more questions, then please feel free to fire them through to me. We've got a feedback form for you to complete as we finish now. If you could go to and take that link, the https bit.ly.link, bit.ly/17-feedback link. Let me put it into the box. Actually, bear with me 1 second. I'll put it into the chat box for you so you can see that. And then we can make sure you can fill that in just by clicking on the link. So you should all have that link in your chat box now. Could you just give me a hands up that you can see that link in your chat box? Great, lovely. So on that link is a feedback form which you can complete. And if you want a copy of the book, you definitely need to complete that feedback form, because there's a place on the feedback form for your address so we can send the book out to you. We'll get those books out in the next couple of days to you. We've got a pile of them here to give away. This session is being recorded. We will send you another email with a link to the session. So if you want to, you can go back and watch it again. It will be on our YouTube channel. So if you know anybody else that you think would benefit from a little bit of productivity learning and would benefit from listening to myself and to Michael, then please pass the link to the YouTube video when we've sent it to you on to them. Anybody who watches the video, they will see this at the end of that, and if they complete the feedback form and complete that, then we'll send them a copy of the book as well, as long as we've got copies in stock. Also on that feedback form, it gives you the opportunity to give us some feedback. Feedback is the breakfast of champions. We'd love to hear about what you thought of the webinar and what you thought about Michael and I presenting. And also it gives you the opportunity to apply for your business strategy session, where we can talk more about what's important to you moving forwards in your business, whether that's just about time management, whether it's about marketing and sales. And also we'll give you the opportunity to come along and have either a complimentary group tasting session or a business strategy session for those who feel one-to-one will be better for them. So please complete that feedback form, and we'll have a look at those this afternoon, and then we'll send everything out to you as soon as those are completed. Just before we finish, has anybody got any questions? Put any questions in the chat box, any comments? But particularly, there's still a few of you on the call now, so put a learning point into the chat box. Put a learning point. What's your biggest learning point, your biggest action point from today? What have you learned today that you're going to implement? We've already heard from Louise. Louise is going to start doing the 17-minute thinks and the 17-minute pauses. And she's going to start doing that today. So we'll talk about that, Louise. Make sure you are. Phil, I don't think 17-minute donut eating is really going to be on the agenda. Warren's looking at deep think sessions, brilliant. Louise is going to eat a frog, which is even better. Yeah, let's take the pro out of procrastination for you, Louise. Any other comments? Adopting the whole thing from John. John, Michael will be a great contact for you. Make sure you join his How to Be Brilliant group and have a look at the Teesside organisation he mentioned. Sean's going to give the 17-minute sprint a go, and we'll test and measure that for you. Let's see how you get on with that. Okay, everybody, thank you very much for your time. Thank you very much for filling the feedback forms in. We will send a link out again just in case you haven't. Bernadette, thank you very much for joining us. 17-minute sprints will be a brilliant way of increasing your productivity. Thank you very much, everybody. Have a brilliant day today. We have got our WhatsApp Business Owners Help group up and running now. If you want to be connected to that, then give us a shout and we'll add you to the group. Let me find the contact forms. Oh, no, it's not there. So drop us a line at bolton@actioncoach.com or give us a call if you want to be added to the WhatsApp group. We'll be doing some live webinars over the next 4 weeks to help business owners through the lockdown period. We have got a Facebook group called Grow Your Business. Have a look for that online. If you can't find it, ask me and we'll invite you to join the group. Like our Action Coach Bolton business page, we'll make sure we put the details in there as well. We want to help as many business owners as we can over the coming period, and we'll do as much as we can to help you guys. And if there's anything else that you want help with, then let us know. Have a brilliant day. Take care and goodbye from me.